Diamond Feminism. Diamond Feminism is a program that tries to exploit the ravaging stories of the women folk, ranging from gender inequality, marriage, role play at home, office, and at work, to marriage, divorce, childbirth, and sex. Stay tuned today as I bring you the first edition of the program. How I did it. Something I told you this. Stay tuned today as I bring you the first edition of the program. I am your host, Chiamaka Peters. So hold on, code, come certify. But I'm doing that. Make introduce myself. The montage will come.
No montage again. Montage.
But so you saw this thing that I gave you, and you didn't make corrections.
What do you mean? Then maybe when they introduce before montage comes, the montage came, you started. So all you need to do, introduce yourself after introducing the program, and introduce your guest.
You see how much tension.
So it's not tension.
We are watching you. The person is not tension. You are being conscious of where you are. You are conscious of where it is.
It's my. Hello and welcome to the first edition of the program, Diamond Feminism. Diamond Feminism is a program that tries to exploit the ravaging stories of the women folk.
God, you don't just start with the program. You start with an intro.
So that's the intro.
Yeah. Okay, you want to introduce before greeting the audience and so on. Welcome. Welcome. Remind them that it's living television.
What's happening?
That's
Prof.
Okay.
We can go.
Any connection, you have to chat and see your problem.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of the program, Diamond Feminism. Diamond Feminism is coming to you on the stables of Living TV. I am your host, Chiamaka Peters, and with me in the studio today is Professor Chinedum Adele. Prof, good to have you join me on the program today.
Thank you, moderator, and our viewers are welcome.
All right, Doc, today we want to look into vaginal birth and cesarean birth. So, Doc, today I wanted to give us your insight on what vaginal birth is all about.
Well, generally, birth is a birth, whether it is a cesarean or the normal biological birth. But I think the most important thing in life, most of the times, it is as a result of health hazards, and because we all come from different parts of the world, from different perspectives of life in terms of health and so on. Though I'm not a medical doctor, but one thing is certain: I've seen people who give birth through cesarean operation, and in the next pregnancy, you see them delivering themselves. And, so I think this thing is most of the times it has a lot to do with the health of a particular person, especially the first timers in terms of pregnancy. My small sister-in-law, who wedded on December, just gave birth. In the history of their family, nobody has gone through cesarean operation, but unfortunately, has had to go that way. Even though she married, they said she married a little late at the age of 30, and they had expected in the family it should be between 20-25 years one should have gotten married. But the way things are these days, and the couple with education and so on, there are people who want to have their masters and so on before giving birth. So I also understand. A doctor friend of mine told me that most often testing is as a result of when you are not timely with pregnancy. There are certain ages you get to, and then the bodies will begin to stiffen up. When the necessaries are not done, it helps. I think a medical doctor will do better on that. But I know that most of these things, sometimes they are natural, sometimes it's a result of health hazards.
All right, sir. I to be sure, sir, Dr. Prof, I want you to let my viewers here know, if there are some certain risks actually associated with cesarean birth.
Well, I think the risk and also the advantage is 50-50. I say so because even the normal bed, I've had cases of a lot of people, even in our immediate family, after delivery for about 1 week or so, natural, normal delivery, and then suddenly the person had a bleeding and had to go through that. It happened to one of our neighbors and so on. And then, but that of cesarean, it is usually placed with a heavy risk, survival risk, and so on. And though most often it depends on the hospital, because there are a lot of quacks. I remember sometime, that's as about 10 years ago in Isioma, there was a hospital in Isioma. In Isioma were here, and then the two young men were claimed medical doctors. They opened up a clinic there, and then someone was brought in for this appendicitis. They opened her up, but never knew, could not find the disease and could not even suture it back. They had to rush that patient to Dr. Eweremado by 7 o'clock, all the way from Isioma. So if God was not involved, that person would have given up the ghost. So most often, it also depends on the hospital. Most doctors, I am really sorry to say this, in the quest of making much money, they want to sign you with, they don't want you to pass through the normal labor, and they'll sign you for cesarean operation. While under normal circumstances, a well-experienced gynecologist will tell you what to do, how to do exercise, even while you're pregnant. That is why this antenatal is very, very important, so that you also know what to do, some of the things to eat and so on, so that it will be easy for you. So I think when you talk about the risk involved, both of them, I think they are almost the same thing. It all depends on the type of hospital, the qualification, and the credence of the medical practitioner involved. Most of these people, it's not all of them that are grounded in their profession, and so that is why you have a lot of risk. Just like the one I mentioned, if Dr. Remado were not there at that time, I wonder what would have happened to that lady. And so we have so many of them like that. People who do not want to really take their time to learn. Is it not the university we are talking about? There are some who go to study. There are others who only go there to play and also belong to cult and so on. So that's just that.
All right. Prof, there is actually these instances that are very common these days. People believe that when they do cesarean birth, that the next birth to come up to the third time, must definitely be cesarean, because they say there is this high risk, associated with, a cesarean birth, that when a woman has done cesarean first, that there is the high tendency that the second birth up to the third birth must also be cesarean. I mean, how do you come up here?
Well, I know a case. I know a case of a woman who gave birth through cesarean operation, and at the end of the day, the second birth, she delivered safely on her own. So I think it all depends on body mechanism. That is one. And two, and then if you are going through cesarean birth, after the third one, most often the doctors advise you not to try again, because of these open wounds and so on.
Yes, because I have a woman that has done first, second, then doctor now advised her, before you could even try to conceive again, stay up to 6 years,
Exactly.
So,
So that's exactly what we're saying here. So in fact, God has a role to play. Like I said here, I've seen a woman who did it once, and they did it once, and then the second one, they gave her about 3 years. Immediately after the third year, she took it and she gave birth on her own. So, one will say that is divine, and God had a role to play there. And then at others, I think, like I said, it all depends on the knowledge of the medical practitioners, the doctors who are involved. I think when it comes to childbearing and all these cesarean issues, there are people who are supposed to be specialists.
Yes.
It is not something that should be done in a particular clinic or hospital without going to those who are specialists. There are doctors who are trained to take care of little babies. There are those who are trained in charge of the ears, the nose, and so on. So there are fields of medicine, and the people should at all times know where they go to. I think that is one of the, when you talk about child mortality and so on, that is one of the major problems.
all right, wonderful viewers. We'll go on a very short break. When we return, the studio phone lines will be open for you to call in and make your inputs. We'll be right back.
Allow me to enjoy myself. I love you. Oh, yeah.
Have you heard that Living Television, the latest satellite station on Satview channel, is received all over Nigeria and Africa? You can watch Living Television on every free-to-air HD decoder, including Strong HD and CSAT HD. Why keep paying for monthly subscriptions when you can have fun for free? With Living Television, you can watch lots of wrestling, football, documentaries, and Nigerian films, including discussions and debates on current Nigeria issues. Watch free live matches on La Liga Spain cum Serie A, Italy cum Bundesliga, German League 1, and French matches on over 80 premium channels. Wow! You can also sponsor your programs such as live church services and crusades, political rallies, burial and wedding ceremonies, promotional interviews, announcements, advertisements, documentaries, and commercials. We are situated at number 1 Judges Street off Ikorebane Road, Aba, Abia State. For further enquiries, call 0805 367 3900. Signed, Management.
I love you.